The Joker versus Harley Quinn. Long after Harley has called it quits with her dear Mr. J, the much-anticipated wedding of Batman and Catwoman is just around the corner, and the star-studded guest list threatens to bring these extremely agitated exes hurtling back into each other's lives. 1. The Joker returns. Our circus of conjugal carnage opens on the sunny streets of Gotham City, mere miles from where it all began for this dangerous duo. Now, the first rule of Gotham is to always expect the unexpected. But even still, who could imagine that the most dangerous crime boss on the planet would stumble out of an abandoned grain silo filled with human teeth in broad daylight? Armed with nothing but a toothbrush and having been trapped inside for what could have been weeks, the Joker emerges in all his menacing glory as a tsunami of pearly whites cascade across the street. When the Clown Prince of Crime's phone starts to ring, he picks it up without hesitation, knowing exactly who's listening on the other end. "I'm out now," the Joker says matter-of-factly. "Out on the streets of my beloved, bedeviled Gotham." Showing his true colors, the first thing that Joker looks for upon release is a weapon. Smashing a bottle against a wall and admiring his glistening new razor, he doesn't stop for a response as he prattles on into the phone. "I'm going to find someone. Some innocent, oblivious Gothamite going about his day. Hopefully on a unicycle or with a t-shirt that says I'm was stupid. And I'm going to bleed him out. You'll get to listen to the burbling screams and know this is all your." But the ace of knaves' threat goes unfulfilled. From the corner of his eyes, the Joker sees the glint of something reflective racing towards him and hears the rumble of an engine in high gear. Within moments, the Joker is tossed into the air like a rag doll as a car whips around the corner and plows right into the clown. Stepping out from behind the wheel is none other than Harley Quinn, who shrugs off the Joker's misogynistic jabs as she raises her iconic hammer above her head. "Better liven up. We're just getting started," she says before bringing the hammer down with a sickening wrench on her ex-boyfriend's skull. 2. Harley Quinn beats the Joker. Joker wakes up in a stupor, feeling more than a little worse for wear. After all, being trapped in a grain silo, hit by a moving vehicle, and bludgeoned in the head with a giant hammer all in one day would leave anyone a little woozy. But as he comes to, Joker realizes that Harley has taken him out of the frying pan and tossed him directly into the fire. A thick, mucousy substance begins spilling down from above and wakes the Joker, who finds himself bound to a chair inside a giant melting pot. Pudding," the clown remarks as the substance splashes up against his lips, the irony of this latest death trap starting to dawn on him. "Tapioca." Harley chimes in sweetly as she watches from the safety of her perch. "If I recall correctly, it's your least favorite kind. All the better to drown you in." As Harley taunts, the flavorful sludge continues slowly slurping from giant nozzles into the empty bowl the Joker finds himself trapped in. The only thing that's clear to the madman is that his precious time is running out. And fast. "How'd you find me in the first place, Harley?" he asks, hoping to find some key in her answer to help him escape. Harley explains that it was the Riddler who helped her track him down. Apparently, Edward Nygma keeps constant tabs on the Joker as one of his foremost rivals for the title of Gotham's most dangerous supervillain. "Like a snake charmer keeping an eye on a cobra's head," Harley says. The Joker chides Harley for concocting a death trap based around her old pet name for him, but quickly realizes that getting a rise out of Quinn isn't going to help him survive the next few minutes. The clown switches tact almost instantly. "Let's cut to the chase," he croons. "Batman is getting married to that litter-squatting Catwoman. It's a big moment for all of Gotham, to be sure, our leather-clad royal couple. But there is one problem. I'm not invited." At last, we discover how Joker fits into the long-awaited wedding of the Bat and the Cat. Of course, in Joker's twisted, sadistic mind, he simply couldn't handle being left off of the invitation list. Of course, in reality, there was simply no chance in hell that the Dark Knight would ever allow his arch-nemesis anywhere near his wedding. But for Joker, this was a step too far. The clown even lashes out against himself as he bemoans to Harley how much of an insult not receiving an invitation was, throwing his already bruised head against the side of his cage in his anger. Seeing the inner pain and turmoil her old flame is going through in his rejection, something that almost looked like pity flashed across Harley's eyes as she watched Joker flail and rage against his bonds. But any trace of emotion drained from her face when Joker looked her square in the face and said, "Let's be real here, my dear. This is just a cry for attention. You never actually kill your Mr. J. Because you still love me. This was the final straw for Quinn, the stinging insult she knew was coming her way eventually. Because it always did when Joker came back into her life. In all honesty, it was the only thing Joker had left to say that could truly hurt her. After Harley broke off the romantic entanglement once and for all, she'd finally freed herself from the demeaning manipulations of the world's most sinister mastermind. The Joker had spent years making Harley feel worthless and second best in order to make her feel as though she needed him. This was just one of the many emotionally abusive tactics the Joker used to keep Harley under his heel during their relationship, making it as hard as possible for her to ever feel comfortable leaving him. When the Joker tells her that she's only doing this for his attention, it is the clown making a calculated, targeted attack on Harley's psyche, deploying tactics he used for years to keep her down in hopes that the result will be confusion, pain, and maybe just enough time of a distraction for the Joker to make his escape. Joker said this to make it seem as though he was unbothered by Harley's attack, but in doing so, he could not have more clearly revealed what he was underneath. He was terrified that his ex-girlfriend was finally going to give him what he deserved. Harley's eyes do shift at the comment, but not in the direction the Joker had hoped. Quinn's pupils drained of any empathy or warmth that she had left for the sorry excuse of a man sitting before her. As the pudding rose and slowly began to creep over the Joker's head, Harley kept things cool, calm, and collected. "I know you, Joker. Like I know myself," she said as the ace of knaves began drowning in a vat of tapioca. "That's why I was sure you'd test the strength of the bow with your head, and that you'd use the razor blades hidden in the cuff of your jacket to cut the rope." Silence fell over the warehouse as the pudding bubbled up over Joker's mouth. Second after excruciating second passed as Harley waited patiently for Joker to break free of her second trap. Finally, the crack in the bowl gave way as Joker fell to the ground in a torrent of tapioca, coughing and sputtering as he did. Before Joker even had a chance to stand, Harley yelled, "You want to know what this is really about, Mr. J?" from across the hall. Launching into the air and landing with a scissor kick to the clown's jaw, Harley took Joker to the floor once more, not giving her ex any kind of breathing room whatsoever. "It's about cognitive empathy," she explained as she gave Joker an embarrassing beatdown. "It's about finally understanding what it was like to be me in our relationship," Harley continued. "By experiencing what it's like to be trapped, you need to know what it's like to feel hopeless and afraid. Sure, you'll never be free." And with one final knockout punch to the Joker's already brutalized head, Harley turns his lights out once more. 3. Harley Quinn versus the Joker. For the second time in one day, the clown prince of crime found himself waking from unconsciousness in chains at the mercy of someone who he'd spent more time being cruel to than perhaps any other on the planet. But this time, instead of waking up in a gigantic pudding bowl, his situation proves a lot more elaborate. When Joker dimly opens his eyes, three-dimensional projectors hung from the ceiling paint cartoon characters that dance around him and sing. Harley, now donning a fancy dress rather than more versatile, combat-capable clothing, struts around the Joker's seat as she sings along with the simple tunes playing over the speakers. "I sure used to love these cartoons as a little girl," Harley tells Mr. J. "I always wanted to be the princess with a pretty, sparkling dress. And I wanted a fairy tale romance with a handsome prince who loved me happily ever after." At this point, Joker is starting to seriously worry. This time around, Harley clearly isn't planning for a fight, and she's certainly proven that she isn't about to let Joker go anytime soon. Which, in Joker's mind, leaves only two options on the table. Either she's never going to let him leave, or she's going to kill him. The answer comes sooner than Joker would like. Harley continued, "But don't you know, all the old fairy tales they base those cartoons on aren't so cute and sanitized." At this, Quinn's demeanor changes once more from happy-go-lucky to downright disturbing. "And sooner or later," she threatens, "someone always gets beheaded by a woodsman." As Harley says the magic words, the Joker turns to see a gargantuan man in a hockey mask holding a pristine hunting axe in his hands. Sweat starts to creep down Joker's brow as he begins begging in earnest. "Harles, please, you don't have to do this." But Harley's gaze never softens. "Sorry, Mr. J. I can't let you ruin that wedding. It's a real fairy tale. The closest thing we're ever gonna get to one anyway." This moment gives us substantial insight into Harley's side of this lover's spat as well. As much as the Joker believes himself to be close to Batman, Harley is actually close to Catwoman. After all, the Gotham City Sirens always have each other's back. As it turns out, perhaps Harley's only justification for putting Joker through death trap after death trap isn't just revenge. It seems as though this entire affair was put on by Harley as some sort of murderous wedding gift to Catwoman. After all, no one knows the Joker better than Harley, and she must have known he'd do something in his power to ruin the ceremony between Bruce and Selina. From the second she first heard of the engagement, Harley knew that in order for her friend to get the happily ever after she deserved, the Joker needed to be out of the picture. So her only option was to finally put an end to her evil ex. "I'm not letting you go this time, and I made sure there's no escaping anymore," Harley tells Joker as she leans in and plants one softly on his bruised forehead. "This is the final death trap, Pun. I hope death feels like a kiss." With this, Joker truly starts to see the walls closing in. The Ace of Knaves starts panicking and his voice begins to grow shaky as he pleads. "Harley, you can't do this to me. I'm the Joker." But Harley is no longer listening. In fact, she almost smirks as she turns her back and walks away, content perhaps that even in his final moments, the Joker couldn't comprehend her victory. But Joker's sleeve wasn't empty just yet. "You want to know the truth?" the Joker cries, desperate to regain Harley's attention. "The fact is that I've always needed you, Harles, more than I care to admit." The Joker pauses as if bracing himself before admitting, "Harley Quinn, you're my death trap muse." This succeeds in turning Harley's gaze. She tells her axe murderer to hold off as she confronts the clown on what she knows is a bold-faced lie. "What are you saying?" she demands. "You've always hated my death traps." Even after buying himself only a few more seconds of life, the Joker knows he has finally gotten his hooks into Harley at last. "I was jealous," he lies. "Threatened." Then the Joker's grimace slowly widened to a sickening grin as he played his final trump card. "It's why I let you capture me," the clown said slowly. Harley rolled her eyes. In her mind, this was a bridge too far, and she finally understood the game her ex was trying to play. "Nice try," said Harles. "I'm not gonna play your mind games. Kill him." But at her direct order, the hockey-loving axe murderer didn't even flinch. Harley was confused until her henchman brought his axe down not on Joker's neck, but on the chains around the clown's hands, freeing the Ace of Knaves from his bonds. As Joker stood, he explained to Harley precisely where her plan had failed all along. "You were quick to assume our old abandoned henchman would side with you unequivocally," the Joker explained, looking up at the giant grizzled goon as he did. "You're both victims, after all." As he talked, the murderer Harley had hoped would execute her ex removed his mask and grinned ear to ear, staring down with cold, empty eyes at the clown prince of crime. "But in truth, Harles, is that some people prefer it when I make choices for them. They like giving themselves over to me." The goon knelt before the prince, handing over the giant bladed axe with reverence. Then, as Joker brought the weapon down upon the man again and again, hacking him to pieces, he said with glee, "They want me to do with them as I please." Harley looked on, shocked and appalled at the gory scene unfolding before her. But it wasn't long until the Joker turned his attention around to her. "So many of those fairy tale cartoons end with a dance, don't they, Harley?" he teased. "Let's do it," Harley said, squaring up for a real fight. But Joker wasn't about to face off against his old flame in a fair fight. Clicking the remote control for the holograms, 4 perfectly rendered doppelgangers of the Joker appeared around Harley, throwing off her sense of direction and putting her at a severe disadvantage in the coming skirmish. But even still, Quinn wasn't about to go down without a fight. She came at all 5 Jokers with a ferocity the Joker had never seen from Quinn before. Harley lashed out in all directions at the 5 Jokers, but unfortunately, luck was not on her side. Harley's fist flew through the holograms, one after another, harmlessly passing through the reflective surfaces. It was only when Harley's final blow struck out and phased through the head of the 4th Joker that she realized her comeuppance was on the way. Mercilessly, the real Joker snuck up behind his former lover and took the blunt side of his axe and brought it down hard on Harley's head. "Look at that," Joker said with mock sincerity. "Instead of giving you a grin on the back of your head, I turned the axe at the very last second." Kneeling beside the unconscious Harley with no one left to hear his words, the Joker continued solemnly. "I guess I don't really want you dead. Somewhere, deep inside of me, I know that someday you'll realize I'm the only thing that makes you happy. Someday you'll desperately want me back." Carefully, the Joker leaned over and planted a kiss on Harley's cheek before standing and turning his back to the passed out Quinn. "And on that day," he said, You'll know what it's like to be alone and left out, waiting for an invitation. Though Harley gave everything she had to protect Catwoman's wedding day from the one man who could possibly threaten it, unfortunately, the Joker managed to slip through her fingers. The very next day, once again roaming free on the streets of Gotham, the Joker visits a weapons cache he has squirreled away in his hometown. "Hello there, lonely little gun," the madman jokes to himself as he lifts a pristine pistol from the dirt and grime of the alleyway. "How'd you get here? What the hell goes on in this neighborhood at night these days?" As he stares lovingly at his weapon of choice, the Joker's monologue grows still darker. "Oh, what's that you say? You can get me into the wedding? Oh, thanks! I'd be delighted. You can even be my +1. As the Joker's laughter echoes out into the city, he finds himself staring up at the towering cathedral, a church where he knows in just a few days' time, his arch-rival will be standing at the altar with the love of his life. And when the priest asks the crowd if anyone objects to their union, the Joker shudders with anticipation, trying to think of Batman's face when he sees his oldest and most feared enemy standing in the aisle with a shiny silver pistol pointed squarely at Catwoman's heart. If you think that's evil, check out our video on 10 times the Joker went too far.